we have 22 days until we elect a president in this country, and a lot of people are upset that all we talk about and all anyone talks about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. It is apparently, though, the news of the day, and it continues to be, because everything they're doing is affecting all of the other politics and the posturing about that politics. And so I understand people's frustration with, oh my God, they're talking about Donald Trump again. It kind of matters what happens in 22 days. I'm not saying that in a condescending way. I'd love to talk about, well, I wouldn't love to talk about Syria, but I think there's space to talk about Syria and serious issues. But everything that happens in 22 days will matter with all of these issues. And today, we are now in America again talking about fixed elections, and it's ironic to hear the person who is claiming that these elections are rigged. You have minorities in this country who have been protesting. First, they didn't have the vote. Then when they got the vote, they thought that they didn't really have the vote. And then we have a Voting Rights Act, parts of which are due to expire, and there's protesting against letting those expire and for letting them expire, parts of the Voting Rights Act. And now you have the Republican candidate for the presidency who is down in just about every poll. There was a poll today in Utah, that shows Donald Trump in second place by 1 percentage point to, obviously, to Evan McMullin. Evan McMullin, exactly. And then Hillary Clinton 2 points behind Trump, or 2 points behind McMullin. It's a tight race in the state of Utah. The polls are showing Donald Trump is just floundering right now. And so what does he do? Blame other people like he always does. He blames CNN, the Clinton News Network. They're frauds. They're terrible. He blames, then again, the rigged election system. So I don't know. Maybe it's not obvious to you guys, folks, but I picked something up in watching Donald Trump. I want you to watch and see if I picked it up right. I think the guy thinks the election is rigged. Let's see what you think.
Hillary is running for president in what looks like a rigged election. Okay? It looks to me like a rigged election. The election is being rigged by corrupt media, pushing completely false allegations and outright lies. And remember this, it's a rigged election. But that's what I mean. It's a rigged election. So it's a rigged election, but we're not going to let it happen. Remember, it's a rigged system. It's a rigged election. We're going to beat the rigged system. We're going to beat the rigged election. The process is rigged. This whole election is being rigged. The whole thing is one big fix. It's one big fix. It's one big fix in what looks like to many people a totally rigged election. The election is being rigged by corrupt media. It's a rigged system. This is a rigged system, folks, but we're not going to let it happen. But we are going to stop it. We are not going to back down.
So yeah, I picked up a little bit. I was curious if you guys picked up the same. It was a little subtle. I came out of watching that earlier, and I thought, yeah, I think the guy thinks the election might be rigged.
It's the dominant strategy. I mean, either that or completely change your approach to the election, but it's just so easy. It just kind of it sums up this strange laziness of the Trump camp, of Donald Trump, which is, what is the easiest thing to say at any given moment, is what he'll say. And I think to him, the easiest thing to say when you're losing is it's rigged.
But is there anything to back that up, Thor?
I don't believe so, and it kind of feels like he's trying to hypnotize us. He's just like, it's a rigged election, and we're just like, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's but that's, we say, and we can laugh about it being hypnotizing and mesmerizing and all of that. This is the MO of the Trump campaign. Say something enough, and your puppets are going to repeat it, right?
Yeah.
Right, but it's, I mean, the key to running a campaign is typically to stay on message. But he hasn't been able to find a message that he can... The campaign has not been able to find a message for Donald Trump to stay on that Donald Trump feels like staying on. That's the thing, is he'll come back to rigged. That seems to be the compromise that they've made.
But do you think he's seeking that? Do you think the campaign is seeking a message? Or do you think, because, listen, he has run, and I will say successfully now, because he went through the primary system, he became the nominee, he's continued running, never at one time, never in one debate, never in one, CNN, Fox, or Face the Nation interview, never has he sort of elucidated his audience as to what he wants to do.
That's
right?
the laziness factor, I think. You never have to.
Right. Well, but is that laziness? Why is it lazy? If you don't have to do it, is it lazy to do it, to not do it?
I don't know. I don't know what the second tier of strategy is, the action item that he wants everyone to do. I mean, we'll talk about it later. The only action item I see is for people to go, have been told to go stand out in front of polls.
Right.
And intimidate voters. But I don't know. I just don't think that Donald Trump is sophisticated enough a political mind to do anything but just kind of shit disturb.
Yeah.
And a great way to shit disturb is to, question the fundamental underpinnings of an electoral process.
Yeah.
And I believe wasn't it the Washington Post that looked at 10 years of elections, and there were 30 cases of voter fraud for 1 billion votes cast.
Right.
It doesn't seem like
it's more likely, they say, that there would be a shark attack than there would be voter fraud. And in Pennsylvania, where they are targeting right now, we're going to hear a little bit more about that. They are actually saying that in Pennsylvania there were 6 votes that were changed because precinct captains, who, by the way, work for the parties, the people came in and they kind of saw that it was uneven and there was a mistake, so they evened it out at 6 votes. I mean, this is 6 votes that happened years ago. So now Trump is saying, well, it's going to be a mess in Pennsylvania. I want to put up some graphics on the screen, graphics number 10, 10A and B, because this speaks to the idea that the Republicans are going to go in, they're going to have election monitors there, and I want you to hear what Bob Brady, who's a Democratic congressman from Philadelphia, had said. We've been around a long time. These guys who want to come in are rookies. We're going to do everything right. These guys better not do anything to hinder the election because it'd backfire completely on them. He goes on to say, we put it out on the street that they're challenging black votes, and people will come out in droves. I hope they try to challenge everybody because we'll have lines and lines and lines. So Bob Brady in the Washington Post, in a piece by Dave Weigel, said, hey, listen, if they do this, we are going to counterattack, and that's going to bring more people out, because as soon as a certain segment of this population knows that there is voter fraud, they are going to laugh and come out and wait in line and vote all night. So it will work against them, according to the congressman. Do you see some truth in that? I mean, do either of you see how this can be likened to the voting rights struggle that minorities have, and especially and most notably in certain elections in Philadelphia?
What it has is, echoes of racial strife, of, racial arguments and confrontations. And that's something that, a lot of the Voting Rights Act and other measures have been put in place to kind of put aside. It seems like we're going back to it.
Right. I agree with that. But it's using that as a tactic, too. I mean, I haven't heard that before. So Congressman Brady is saying, so come check us out. If you come check us out, we're going to just bring more voters for you to have to check out. I mean, do you see that as a good sort of way of getting these people off their backs?
I have no idea. I've just never seen anything like this in an election. I don't know what the reaction is going to be. It's just kind of absurd.
It seems like this is a counter-argument to the fact that people aren't going to come out to vote.
Right.
More people are disenchanted in the electoral process. It seems like I'd rather have a groundswell of support around a candidate. We're not going to get that right now. I am sad to see that the groundswell that this congressman is citing is the necessary groundswell that is a reaction to voter suppression and intimidation.